Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Night.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Night on the internet. And welcome back to the P-Dog Night channel. I have no idea why I'm talking that way. Just because it was fun, I guess. Hello, how y'all doing? Happy Monday. Weekend's over. Hope you had a nice one. We got a lot to go through today, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time with chit-chat other than it is Monday the 19th of August, 2024 on the Morning Night Live. Welcome to the P-Dog Night channel. We're back for another one. So, I hope y'all ever, and I hope you're having a good morning too. Mine's adequate, I guess. I got my cup of coffee though. Today's cup of coffee is brought you by the Colorado Railroad Museum in Golden, Colorado. I don't know what D and RGW and 491 and K37 mean. I suppose those are some railroad cars or some shit. I don't know, but we went there when we were in Colorado, and it was kind of a cool place. All these giant trains, steam engines, and they even had this one engine there. It was actually it was a train kind of thing, like a commuter thing, but it had a car engine. It was like a car was the engine. So, and they pulled a little commuter track around with a car engine. It was kind of cool. And they had 3 of them. Like there's only like 5 left in the world, and they have 3 of them, and 2 of them function. So they take people out on train rides in this. It's on 14 acres. They got a track that goes around. They're bringing in Thomas the Tank Engine, all kinds of stuff, little special things and stuff. It was a cool place though. I don't know jack about trains. We're like, okay, let's go check it out. It was cool. I suppose one of the reasons I thought it was cool though, I grew up in Omaha, which is the home of Union Pacific, and there's a Union Pacific museum there that's pretty cool too. But yeah, it was kind of fun. So anyway, that's the chit chat for today. Let's say hi to everybody and get this thing started because, like I said, I got a whole bunch of tabs open, and they'll all be in the links at the end of the show. But let's see how many I can get through today. First in the chat today, of course, is Mr. Avocados Diablo. He gets the bell. Also, good morning, Patty O Furniture. Anon, 1, 2, 3. Lord Stanhope's in the house. Maddie's here. Welcome. Also, good morning, Unacceptable Views. Special K on Acid. Bookworm Attic. Mike Savage. Blarg. Also, good morning to Attack Alpacas here. Welcome. Johnny Boomer Tech, of course, running the board over there. And has the correct link to the... the Streamlabs today, which is the best place to do your super chats. You can do super chats on YouTube super chats. You can do Streamlabs, which is better. You can also do Venmo, Cash App if you want to sponsor the show. By the way, hit the like button. If you haven't shared the stream too, I'd appreciate if you do that. It looks like a couple people have already done that. Oh, wait, maybe not. Let's see where we're at here. Thank you, Somnambule Nation. Also, Maddie sharing the show. Greatly appreciate it. Something that I noticed this morning that I keep seeing, and because this is politics and stuff, and I keep noticing that people keep saying, like, for example, the Harris campaign is saying that, Donald Trump killed the toughest border control bill that we've had in decades. Talking about that Senate bill that the Republican Langford joined in writing, and basically it was just a way to process all these illegal aliens faster, illegal border crossers faster, right? And I was thinking, wait a minute, did y'all forget there was a bill in 2003? It was the second bill that came out of the House of Representatives called HR 2, and it was actually a tough border bill, and in fact it was much tougher than the one that they're touting. And I was like, it's weird they keep saying the toughest border security legislation proposed in decades when it's like as if they'd never heard of HR 2. And the reason HR 2 isn't law is because Chuck Schumer, the what I call him, the smarmy prick senator from New York. He wouldn't even bring it up in the Senate. And so when they say, oh, Donald Trump is the reason this bill failed. Well, wait a minute. The toughest bill was H.R. 2, by far tougher than this, all this bill that they did had, yes, it had some money for, equipment to detect fentanyl. But basically, it was a let's process them faster bill. Let's process them more efficiently bill. And we'll stick it down to $2,500. What is it, $2,500 a week or $2,500 a day? I think it's $2,500 a day. Like that's why they're going to hire more border patrol people, so they can process them faster and just catch and release them in the country. And I got to tell you, there are places in this country right now where a lot of these people are coming in and they're taking over large swaths. Okay, let me give you an example. So this week, a bunch of people are coming in my neighborhood, digging up everybody's yard. Okay, they're digging holes in everybody's yards and whatever. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And I came home Friday and there was this giant machine in my yard digging a hole into the ground. And I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing here? Right? Well, they're putting a new fiber optic line. AT&T's bringing new fiber optic line through our neighborhood. So now we'll have some competition with Comcast because, if you want high-speed internet, you got to go to Comcast right now. Now we'll have competition with AT&T. But they're digging up holes in everybody's yard. They're running this stuff all the way through and making the big mess. And then they put down a little dirt and some grass seed, like where they ripped up a big section of your yard. And I went out there when I come home, this giant machine's in my yard, right? And I look at the guy and I go, what the hell is what? Well, I used a little more powerful language, but what the effing is this? And it was no speaking of English. So he's like, he looks over to this guy who's digging a hole in the other side of my yard. He looks to him and points to me because he's scared of me because my wife had come by earlier and said, what the F is this? And they ignored her. But big giant black dude comes up and with this look, what the fuck is this? And they're like, oh, no speaking of English. He calls this other guy over there and that guy's over there. And they call the foreman. The foreman comes down. That person speaks English, right? Okay, and they're saying, okay, yeah, we're putting this fiber optic through the neighborhood and we're digging up everyone's yards because we have to be able to get to, every house. I'm like, okay, how long is this machine going to be sitting in the middle of my yard? Just today. Okay, fine. Come to find out that this work crew, the entire crew is from Ecuador. And I'm like, what? Why have they? Because AT&T subcontracted one company to do the work, and then this subcontracting company subcontracted this other subcontracting company, and then this other subcontractor hired these guys, which is a bunch of Ecuadorians. And now what's interesting too. What is really interesting, and we were talking to our neighbor about this. On was it Saturday? Maybe it's Friday. Friday, because I got home about 7:30 in the morning. And they were already starting work. Okay, they were all working. And I went to, I did my show, went outside, they're out there working. And it was starting to rain, but they just kept working. And there's two projects going on in my neighborhood, by the way. There's one project on a pipeline down the street, and then there's this project. And they're still working. I come back from my afternoon gig. They're still working. They worked till about till sundown. So they worked from 7 in the morning till sundown. It's raining. They're still digging holes, and it's raining. They're just all getting all muddy, and it's raining and whatever. Then it stops raining, and they're still out there digging. And dudes we're out there all day. Ecuadorian crew. And they did use it. They did use directional boring machines, but they also had to dig holes to put these, junction boxes and stuff like that. They didn't use backhoes. They were out there. They had guys out there, 2 guys in a shovel digging a 6-foot hole, deep hole. And, it's like a 4x2 6-foot hole in one part, and then they dig another hole. They're digging these holes by hand. They're not, and I'm like, now I get it. The other part is I have no idea these guys are here legally. I have no idea, but it's funny. Aren't those jobs those are the jobs that Americans won't do, I guess, construction work and whatever. So, and also I don't know that they really, like, they broke my neighbor's irrigation system, and then they said, oh, we fixed it, we put it back together, and he looks over there and it's like, no, they just buried the broken pieces. So he had extra pieces. He's like fixing himself. But it's just wild, it's like, oh yeah, these are the immigrants that probably illegal immigrants that were getting this work done, because we're in Minnesota. They gave you illegal driver's license, and they give them whatever. They basically, if you make it to Minnesota and you're a legal immigrant, you're basically a citizen, because they'll give you a driver's license when you register to drive. To get a license, you're probably already registered to vote. They send you some fucking ballots and shit. It's insane here, and that's why you don't want Governor Walz as your vice president, because he might end up being the president someday. Who knows? Anyway, let's finish saying hi real quick. Good morning, Lord Stanhope, Zed the Snarky, Tyler F's in the house, Tire, Alexander, the Scourge. Yes. Well, good morning, sir. All right. So anyway, the only good thing about this, they did fill the holes. They threw some grass seed. They have no idea how grass seed works, apparently, because they filled the holes they filled it with like clay dirt, which is most of our yards of clay, and then they actually put some topsoil over the top. But then they just sprinkled this grass seed on top, didn't rake it in or anything. So I'll probably have to do that. I have these 4 big patches of dirt in my yard now, where they just have dirt and some grass seed thrown on top of it. But anyway, that's it. Hello, Richard Head. What's up? So anyway, let's get this thing started, because I rambled much longer than I planned to. So should we get the damn show started? By the way, she's an idiot. If you don't know who this is Patty Murray, the senator from the state of Washington, and we'll discuss her sometime shortly. Oh, there we go again. That stupid thing. I wish I could find a way. I don't know how to fix that. I'll figure it out. Someday I'll figure this out today. I don't know how I may figure it out. I'll fix the alert box. It will work right. It'll be tight. It'll be all right. I don't know what to say. I make up songs on the fly together. It doesn't matter the weather to me. Thank you, Avocados Diablo. Here's a proper alert. Oh, yeah. Even though it doesn't fit on the screen. Oh, yeah, it does fit on the screen. Thank you, Avocados Diablo, for sponsoring the show. You are a great American. Who says, put a small bullet in the tip jar, 223. Says, your cup is probably Denver and Rio Grande Western 491. Yes, Denver and Rio Grande Western 491. Thank you. It was a locomotive built in 1928, considered a Colorado original. You know what? I think you're 100% right. That is correct. Thank you, Avocados Diablo, for clearing up the cup of the day. There it goes, 491. Killing it. You're killing it. Way to go, sir. All right. Shall we dance? 1, 2, 3, and let's get into the show. Things happening today. I don't have a special day today, but I do have a couple things that are noteworthy. That are one happy and one sad, or depending on how you see it. Today is former President Bill Clinton's birthday. Yeah. Apparently, today is Bill Clinton's 78th birthday. He says, happy 78th birthday to President Bill Clinton. I hope you have a great day. I'm looking forward to your speech at the DNC Wednesday night. Yeah. Will you be under the podium, honey? Anyway, Bill Clinton is 78, which is kind of interesting. He was the third youngest president at the time of inauguration, the only one born in Arkansas. One of three born in 1946. Bush 43 is born in 1946, and Trump. They're the same age. And one of three who were impeached. So apparently, I'm whatever. I don't know. I feel your pain, and I will just do my best to have a good birthday. Now, honey, get back there under the podium. We'll be all right. Okay, there you go. Happy birthday, Bill Clinton. The architect of the 2008 financial crash with the, community development housing stuff that he brought up, which Kamala Harris is bringing back. Oh my God, I'm not even going to get into her economic policies today. I've completely have tuned that out. But there are some snippets today, so there you go. Now, another person featured today that, and this is sad for some. Whatever you think of this guy, he is a pioneer in TV. Phil Donahue died today. This is breaking news. Phil Donahue, pioneering figure in daytime television known as the King of Daytime Talk, passed away at the age of 88 after battling a long illness. His death was announced on the Today Show this morning. Donahue was surrounded by his family, including his wife, Marlo Thomas, his children, and his grandchildren at the time of death, left an indelible mark on television culture. He was celebrated for setting the stage for national conversations on various social issues throughout his show, which predated modern talk shows. So here's the announcement on the Today Show of Phil Donahue
Just
passing.
Moments ago, we learned that television icon Phil Donahue has died. He died at the age of 88. He was, of course, a daytime staple for decades, pioneering the talk show format that has been replicated so many times since then.
We overuse sometimes the word trailblazer, but he certainly was indeed. And he was born in Cleveland, Ohio. He began his career back in 1959, working in radio before making the move to TV. Earlier this summer, Donahue was among those honored at the White House when President Biden presented him with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor for an American civilian.
And of course, he was married for more than 40 years to Marlo Thomas, a frequent guest and good friend of Today. They met actually on his talk show in 1977.
Married that girl.
And then they got married in the 80s. And she said she always said love,
no, Sally
listening,
Field was
and lust. The three L's.
Marlo Thomas was that girl, right? Like that 60s sitcom, That Girl, I think. I remember seeing reruns of that when I was a kid.
Kept their marriage going.
So anyway, look, yes, Phil Donahue was a wild-eyed lefty, whatever. But his show was a good show. It was pioneering. It really brought on the. Oh, by the way, I've got to stop. You are the Streamlabs.
You are the new Streamlabs
Superstar sponsor of the day. I forgot to say that. There you go. What are you doing, Johnny? Keep me up. Would you keep me up in this so I don't mess up like that again? Anyway, so Phil Donahue. You can blame him for some of the talk show. You can blame him for Ricky Lake or Morton Downey Jr. or, obviously Oprah, but, or even, Drew Barrymore. You can blame him for Drew Barrymore because he's the pioneer of that. But his show is good. He brought on controversial things that people normally didn't talk about in polite company, and, Phil Donahue will be missed. So there you go. All right, moving on. Also in the news. Wait, what is this? Oh, this was J.D. Vance continued his rounds of various talk shows. Unlike the current nominees from the other president. But Text AG007, hi, Zed the Snarky, Amazing Disgrace, Richard Head, what's up? Nice to see you all here. Okay, so here's J.D. Vance on, let's see, Fox News Sunday. A friendly venue for him, but whatever. He's been to plenty of unfriendly venues too, and he takes questions after all his little campaign stops. Here's J.D. Vance. It says J.D. Vance wrecks Kamala Harris for gaslighting the American public. Okay, here it is.
The wall. He already implemented tariffs, which brought back 12,000 American factories were built during Donald Trump's administration, and prices were low and take-home pay was high. The entire argument of the Kamala Harris campaign boils down to forget how good things were when Donald Trump was president. Forget that we had
burden her by what has been.
Rising take-home pay. Forget that we had low inflation. Forget that we had peace all over the world. And somehow
burden her by what has been. Because remember, the accomplishments of the prior administration also are what has been. So burden her with that.
If you give Kamala Harris more power than she already has, she's somehow going to do something different than she's done for the past 3.5 years, Shannon. The most absurd thing that Kamala says at her rallies is on day one, I'm going to tackle the food and housing affordability crisis in this country. Shannon, day one for Kamala Harris was 3.5 years ago.
Now, he uses that line a lot, and granted, the vice president doesn't necessarily have that power. You know, she's not the president, right? So this is, it's kind of one of those lines that you can say, okay, well, she's not the president. But you can also say, is she part of the administration? Could she have suggested this to Joe Biden? Couldn't she have tried to push some agenda or written some agenda so that as guidance for the executive branch, she's part of the executive branch, and certainly is she going to be continuing Biden-style policies, which of course she is. So it's fair in that she's part of that administration. So in a way it's unfair because she's not the president, but it's fair because she's part of it. Look, it's the Biden-Harris administration. I'm pretty sure that she's the Harris in the Biden-Harris administration. So there you go.
And everything that she's done has made the affordability problem worse. We cannot give her more power and more influence. She's just going to do more of the same, which has already made the affordability crisis for Americans very, very real.
Spend. So there you go. All right. So, yeah, he's out on the talk show circuit. Also trending. Also, someone started talking about, remember, I've said this before. When Harris speaks, sometimes she sounds like she's drunk. And I don't know if she is drunk or not. There's been times, and it's look, you can't just take a small snippet of phrasing because sometimes she just has that effect, right? But there have been times when she's had an entire, like, video of her speaking at some rally or something or at an event, and where she just all loopied out. So there's been a discussion online that have focused on Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, with many questioning her sobriety. Users have pointed out various public appearances where Harris appeared incoherent or her behavior was unusual during unscripted moments. And again, it's because she's not, sometimes it's just like she's not on the script. Oh, AD, I can't even say that on TV. Oh, wait, you said dunk. I'm assuming you meant drunk. Drunk on... I'm not going to say it. Male chickens. And critics also suggest that her public engagements are heavily managed to prevent such incidents, implying a strategy to control her public image. Due to these concerns, well, she does control all her public image control is. Yes, I knew you meant drunk. Her public image control is kind of funny. We'll get into that in a second. But anyway, here's But also just the fact that she speaks in complete word salad. Here is Kamala Harris when she was asked how she will pay for all the handouts she's promising. Now, there have been very different reactions to this. Okay, this is here. Let's pause this for a second. There's been different reactions to this because to most of us who listen to this, listen to her say a whole lot of nothing, but she has a specific. Let me tell you. I want you to listen to this. And tell me what the specific talking point she was supposed to emphasize during this answer. And also, I want you to watch Tim Walz and his wife listen to her answer this question. When you see them in the background, look at their faces while she's giving this answer. Because it's kind of like, you know how when Joe Biden is giving an answer off the cuff and everyone behind him's like, uh-oh, what's going to come out of his mouth? Well, watch Tim Walz and his wife. I can't remember her name, even though she's my, first governor lady, whatever thingy. Watch their faces. So anyway, here we go. So this is Kamala Harris talking about how she's going to pay for all the stuff she's proposing.
Some economic policies last week.
Yeah.
Can you explain how you're going to pay for those? And can you give us a sense of what other policies you want to unveil going forward?
Sure. Well, I mean, you just look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children.
Listen how many words she just used right there. I mean, 18 words. Look at what we're doing and talking about and around, and we're not going around children.
Sure. Well, I mean, you just look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children and the child tax credit and extending the EITC. It's at $6,000 for the first year of a child's life.
What's interesting too, that child tax credit, isn't that what J.D. Vance was talking about a while back? So it's another idea that Republicans are okay with, and now she's jumping on board.
Return on that investment in terms of what that will do and what it will pay for.
What's the return on investment? What's the return on investment? A $6,000 tax credit. What's the return on investment? So you're giving people an extra, and I'm not against necessarily tax credits. I'm just saying, what's the return on investment? Well, and maybe does it encourage people to have children? I don't know. Hello, Green Badger Outdoors. But I'm sorry. I'm going to play this from the beginning and not say anything so you can hear this entire answer.
Look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children and the child tax credit and extending the EITC. It's at $6,000 for the first year of a child's life. The return on that investment in terms of what that will do and what it will pay for will be tremendous. We've seen it when we did it in the first year of our administration. We reduced child poverty by over 50%. So that's a lot of the work. And then what we're doing in terms of the tax credits, we know that there's a great return on that investment. And when we increase home ownership in America, what that means in terms of increasing the tax base, not to mention property tax base, what that does to fund schools, again, return on investment. I think it's a mistake for any person who talks about public policy to not critically evaluate how you measure the return on investment. When you are strengthening neighborhoods, strengthening communities, and in particular the economy of those communities, and investing in a broad-based economy, everybody benefits, and it pays for itself.
Okay, what was the talking point that she was told to say about this? Ever catch it? The return is they will eventually pay taxes and Social Security when after they're 18, right? What? Reduced? Yeah, and also, how did they reduce child poverty by 50%? 50%, she says. That's amazing. I'd love to see the stat on that. How did they reduce child poverty by 50%? Are you talking about because he said the first year of the Biden administration, they reduced child poverty by 50%. Are they talking about the people coming back to work after the pandemic? If they considered everyone child in poverty during the pandemic, is that what what are they talking about? Did anyone catch what the talking point, though, that she was supposed to say? Because she said it 4 times. And usually, here's the other part, too. Usually when Republicans talk about tax cuts, they kind of talk about it in a similar way. But Democrats are usually against tax cuts and tax credits and all this stuff. But that's just some social engineering stuff, right? Easy. If you are having less children, you are reducing child poverty. That's true. Pays for itself. Yes, thank you, Avocado Stiapi. Return on investment. She said it 4 times. But she didn't explain how it would be a return on investment. Now, because people have a $6,000 tax credit, which most people don't even realize until tax time, right? So then maybe a year later they'll have an extra $6,000 and they'll spend it. Do you think that there is a return on investment in that? I don't know. Hello, Jessica Green. They made children 50% cheaper. Yeah, no, they didn't. That was just straight up word salad, as usual. And even her husband's nodding his head, but I don't think he knew what he was nodding his head to. They don't know how they're going to pay for it. Now they claim, oh, yes, we'll collect more in corporate taxes. But aren't these the same people who say tariffs that Donald Trump's proposing is going to make the cost of things more expensive? Well, what do corporate taxes do? If you raise corporate taxes, won't that do the same thing? Now, is there a reason you want incentive to have more children? Sure. We need to replace the workers who pay for who will pay for my Social Security when I get to it, right? We'll need more workers. So anyway, now here's the part though that people were talking about with this possible sobriety issue, and this is now Chuck Callisto's, mega, extraordinaire Trump guy. So I you can take it with a grain of salt, but it's interesting because there's several people making this claim. And remember, I said this a long time ago. I think she was introducing Joe Biden one time at a little, town hall or something. They were at it might have been with the buses or something, but she was slurring her words and just, and it sounded like she was drunk. Now, maybe just her effect, but here it is. Shock report. Multiple law enforcement officers stepping forward revealing Kamala was intoxicated in this video. Would be charged with a DUI if she was behind the wheel of a vehicle. So let's see this clip. Now, this is only a 30-second clip, but let's hear it.
Because when we think about the strength of our democracy, I think that there's a duality to the nature of democracy. When it's intact, it's so strong.
By the way, this is part of her stump speech. She's not saying anything off the cuff here. This is verbatim in her current stump speech that she's used in every campaign stop so far. But this is her saying it to a smaller group. She's got it memorized.
Intact, it's so strong in terms of what it does to uphold and protect individual rights and freedoms. So strong. And she's so impactful. And it's very fragile. It will only be as strong as our willingness to fight for it.
And now it's funny because I laugh. The reason I say this is because I know what my wife sounds like after a few drinks. I call it, what do I call it? I call it lady boober drunk girl syndrome. Or I don't call it that. I just made that up. But I always know when my wife's had a few drinks because there's this little effect in her voice. It's not slurring necessarily, but it is a slight change in the way she talks. And this is the exact same thing that I see in Kamala Harris when this happens. Now, here's another one. Because coming here, this is extremely serious. Here it is. This is extremely serious. Someone with an unhinged drinking problem has a chance to be president of the United States and the most powerful company on earth. Now, look, she would not be the first drinking president. Please me. If she ends up, God forbid, she ends up as president of the United States, wouldn't be the first president with a drinking issue. But anyway, here's another one that someone brought up. Let's see if this one. This one might be more pronounced.
Our extraordinary President Joe Biden.
Yeah, this is the one. This is when she was introducing Joe Biden.
Our extraordinary President Joe Biden.
In there.
And he's going to speak in a minute, but there's a lot of love in this room for our president.
Yeah. Now, this one is the one I was talking about. And I forgot. This is the one this is the one. I call it drunk girl voice. That's what I call it. Drunk girl voice. That's drunk girl voice right there. Here's another one someone else brought up.
Real president of this country, is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden?
I don't think she was. I don't think this.
Charlemagne.
I really.
This one doesn't count.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden. It's Joe Biden. And don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not
she does have a little bit there.
It's Joe Biden.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden. And I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris. And the reality is, because we are in office, we do.
Okay, so there's a little bit of it there. So anyway, that's something that's come up. Maybe you'll hear it, maybe not. Here's another one. Here's another one. Oh, here's another one. Is this one? Oh, this is the coconut tree one.
Everything is in context. My mother she would give us a hard time sometimes, and she would say to us, I don't know what's wrong with you young people. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
Oh, God. She tries so hard to sound profound. Anyway, so that's another thing trending. Moving on. Also, now this is completely unrelated to politics. This is something that's trending on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, and it's very high up there. And it's related, the reason I decided to show this because there's more that this company has trending today, so I thought I'd bring it up. She isn't drunk, she's just a fucking idiot. Well, that's possible too. I think she might have a couple. Okay, here we go. Here's a question for you. Hang on, let me come back to this. Here's a question for you, because this was on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, and someone asked, do you think Kamala is a Hennessy type of girl or a clear liquor type of girl, like vodka or gin or some shit? Someone said mimosas. I think she's a wine mom. So here's the question for the chat. I'm just going to have you type it in the chat here. What is Kamala Harris's drink of choice? And I'm going to put my entry too. I'm being very specific here. There we go. I think it's probably white wine, probably Pinot Grigio. whatever Tupac enjoyed. Vodka, scotch or two, but vodka. More liquor. No, she ain't that black. Come on now. She ain't that black. That's why I don't think it's Hennessy either. She didn't grow up drinking Hennessy. White Russians? Oh, damn. Gin. Oh, keep them coming. Anyway, so let's get back to this Lay's, Jack and Coke or rum. Oh, my God. Rum. No, I'm not saying that out loud. All right, here we go. Lay's flavor taster is trending. Now, this was like number 3. Apparently, it's because it's National Potato Day. I did not even catch that part. Hello, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
It is National Potato Day. Lay's, the company that makes Lay's potato chips and Doritos and all that other stuff, says we're searching for one potato chip lover to win the Lay's Flavor Taster Sweepstakes for a chance to win $10,000. You got to follow Lay's on X, like the post, comment on your top 3 Lay's flavors. Using Lay's flavor tester sweepstakes hashtags. So there you go. If you want to win 10 grand and want to talk about some potato chips, the Lay's flavor taster and sweepstakes classics, you're supposed to put your favorite flavors on there. And there's a bunch of people putting some funny shit up there too. So there you go. That'll be in the links. But the reason I thought it was important to talk about Lay's, and we're not talking about Kamala's early career, Doritos is trending. Now, Doritos is trending because of something Kamala Harris did. So first, I'm going to show you the clip, and you may have seen this. Maybe you haven't. I'm going to show you it anyway. So Tim Walz put this on his X account. Just a chance during their bus tour across Pennsylvania, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz stopped by a convenience store. I believe it's called Shields. That's a big one out in Pennsylvania. It's not a Wawa. It must be a Shields. And they decided to go get some snacks. So Tim Walz posted this where he says, every road trip needs a snack break. Yes, this is so just spur of the moment. By the way, Doritos is the number 1, I think, chip in the United States right now. So, they got to do some market testing and pick out something really popular. He says every road trip needs a snack break. Doritos acquired. I got you, Kamala Harris. Now here it is. Here's the clip he posted.
You see corn nuts over there,
Isn't this it?
Oh, yeah,
that's the best. There you go.
Oh, So now I'm so helpful. Got you some Doritos at the Wawa. Now they had to clear out the entire convenience store with Secret Service people so that she could go shop for some damn Doritos. But there's a little bit of controversy here. There's a little bit of controversy regarding these Doritos. Well, why is that? Well, because, and Breitbart hasn't posted, but there's some videos of it. The Great Dorito Hunt. Kamala Harris's husband and running mate help her find chips at a gas station because she couldn't find those damn Doritos. Now, the funny thing about this, they staged this whole thing, and people, where is it? Oh no. Well, here, I can find some people to tell you how they staged it because it's almost silly. By the way, and her husband has a bag of Doritos in his hand while she does this. But here it is, breaking. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz got caught staging their Doritos purchase at, it's Sheetz in Pennsylvania. What makes it even worse, they filmed this event twice, and Kamala Harris requested corn nuts in the video she released as Tim Walz gave her Doritos instead. So here's what this is Don Lucre. He's kind of crazy. Oh, here, let me put Posobiec's one up here because this is more comprehensive, so to speak. Here's this fake Doritos run by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. So here it is. So look.
Doritos.
Oh, by the way, apparently, maybe Kamala Harris doesn't eat Doritos. You know, Doritos, right? Doritos. Listen to her pronounce Doritos.
Doritos.
And she looks drunk there too. But anyway, Dorito. What are Doritos? Isn't it Doritos? Like, she gets mad because people pronounce her name wrong, Kamala versus Kamala, and she's up here saying Doritos. So there you go. But anyway, so I'm going to start this again because watch. She's over here.
Doritos.
I'm looking for some Doritos, and what happens? She walks back, and Tim Walz is right there.
Ah, Dougie, there they are.
Oh, Dougie. Dougie? Did she call her husband Dougie? And oh, there they are. They're the Doritos. Dougie got her some Doritos, right?
I know you want those.
Oh, yes. Now here they come again. Now Walz is...
Isn't this it?
Now look, what's in Doug's hand? Doug has some Doritos right here. And she said something about wanting some corn nuts. Is that a euphemism? Ah! Stop it. Turn that off, Johnny. And so now they filmed it again, Doug giving her Doritos over the counter. So it's silly. They're trying so hard to seem like just normal people. Such normal people. So again, Breitbart article. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Vice President Kamala Harris's husband, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, appeared to aid Harris in her search for Doritos because she just couldn't find them Doritos. In a post on X, a shared video that appeared to show him finding a red bag of nacho cheese Doritos and handing it over to Harris, who was standing in another aisle. Emhoff could be seen holding another bag of chips in the video. Every road trip needs a snack break, Walz wrote on the post on X. Doritos acquired. I got you, Kamala Harris. In another video, Harris can be seen standing inside of a Sheetz with her husband before she walks off in search of chips. Ah, Dougie, there they are, Harris can be seen saying in the video as she walks back to her husband. Thank you. Emhoff can be seen handing her a bag of Doritos. So now, most people, and this is a good point, most normal people don't make such a big deal about locating a bag of Doritos, but congrats on humanizing everybody or something. Yes, congratulations. You found those Doritos and you did it on camera. That was perfect. The only good Doritos are the spicy chili purple bag ones. Isaac Shore, a writer with Mediaite, wrote on a post on X. Okay, whatever. But so anyway, it's just so funny. Oh, the joy and the normalcy of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Thank God they found their bag of Doritos. All right, let's move on. Also, Thanksgiving is trending on X because of something Tim Walz said. So Tim Walz made this little snippet of speech during one of the campaign stops. Here is, and he posted it on X right here. Here's Tim Walz.
Remember when you could go to Thanksgiving, watch a Steelers game with your relatives, and not complain about politics the whole time, not be on each other's neck, because you shared a commitment to democracy, a commitment to personal freedom, a commitment to public education, a commitment to infrastructure.
Oh my God.
We don't call each other names. We don't do it. And we don't use the leech force.
Oh, really? You're not calling them weirdos? You Tim Walz, you're the guy who came up with the weirdo thing, the weird thing, right? No, we don't.
Fortunate amongst us as punchlines for our jokes because they're our neighbors. They're our neighbors. And so you're getting an opportunity to see the best side of America. And for the young people here, they maybe haven't seen.
Okay, let me just stop for a second. So he made a big deal about, go to Thanksgiving and do all these things. Huh. Interesting. Now, I live in Minnesota, so I know a little bit about what Tim Walz does, but a lot of people notice the fact that we remember the time when you could go to Thanksgiving with your relatives and not complain about politics the whole time. That's what he said there. Well, wait a minute, Tim. You're also the guy who banned people from visiting their family at Thanksgiving. And then you set up a snitch line so people could call the cops on anyone who visited their family. That's you, Tim Walz? Yeah, that is you. You're my governor. You did that. So that's why Thanksgiving is trending. Moving on. Oh, and here's the other one. So in 2020, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz issued an executive order restricting Thanksgiving gatherings due to COVID-19 pandemic. The order prohibited residents from gathering with anyone outside their immediate household, aiming to reduce the spread of the virus. This decision was met with significant criticism and with many residents and political figures labeling it as canceling Thanksgiving. Critics accused Walz of overreach, particularly highlighting the establishment of a snitch line for reporting violations. The move sparked widespread discussion, blah, 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 blah. That's Grok saying, oh, everything's sparked widespread, whatever. So it's pretty damn funny that he has the nerve to talk about Thanksgiving. Moving on, Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, is trending because apparently he went over to negotiate some hostage releases and ceasefires, whatever, in Israel. And a lot of people are talking about that. Secretary of State Anthony Harris, this is the open source intel account. Watch, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken speaks in Tel Aviv today. He's in Tel Aviv. This is a decisive moment, probably the best and maybe the last opportunity to get hostages home, to get a ceasefire, and put everyone on a better path to endure peace and security. Someone says here, go home, loser. We watched what you did in Afghanistan. We don't want a lesson in how to surrender. Someone here says a previous ceasefire hostage deal, which the U.S., Israel, and Hamas approved, is the real Hamas terrorist demand. Is the deal Hamas terrorist demand is honored. Hamas terrorists are incapable of telling the truth. Egyptian intelligence deceitfully changed the wording of the formal ceasefire hostage document. Here, hang on a second. Without Israel's or U.S.'s knowledge, CNN says Egyptian intelligence quietly changed the terms of a ceasefire proposal that Israel had already signed off on earlier this month, ultimately scuttling a deal that could have released Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners and set a pathway to temporary ending of the fighting in Gaza, according to three people familiar with the discussions. The ceasefire agreement that Hamas ended up announcing on May 6th was not what the Qataris or the Americans believed to have been submitted to Hamas for potential final review. The changes made by Egyptian intelligence, the details of which have not been previously reported, led to a wave of anger and recrimination among officials from the U.S., Qatar, and Israel, and left ceasefire talks at an impasse. So this is back in May. We were all duped, one of the sources told CNN. CI Director Bill Burns, who has spearheaded the American efforts to broker a ceasefire agreement, was in the region when the word reached him that the Egyptians had changed the terms of the deal. Burns was angry and embarrassed, the same person said, believing it made him look like he wasn't in the loop or hadn't inform the Israelis of the changes. So that was back in May. So now Blinken is back in Tel Aviv trying to do it again. And someone here says, go home and tell your handlers to pound sand. None of you give a crap about the plight of the hostages. If the current U.S. administration wanted a hostage deal, they could have applied maximum pressure on both Egypt and Qatar many months ago. Cue Will Smith at 2022 Academy Awards. Holy shit. Wow. Robin McDonald, welcome to the show. That's a new face in the chat. Nice to have you here. Who says 2020 Thanksgiving resulted in me getting COVID from a newly vaccinated friend. Well, you know, vaccines stop. No, that's impossible. That's impossible, Robin. You know why? Because Rachel Maddow said, if you get the vaccine, it stops right there. So there's no way you got it from a relative who is vaccinated. Sorry, I'm not making fun of you. I'm making fun of Rachel Maddow. All right. So anyway, that's Anthony Blinken to Tel Aviv. Next, we got George Santos. This is the people in the news kind of thing section, obviously. George Santos is in the news because he is pleading guilty to fraud. Former U.S. Congressman George Santos, who was expelled from Congress, is set to plead guilty to multiple federal charges involving corruption and fraud. This plea is scheduled for a federal court hearing in Long Island. Santos, previously denying the allegations and describing the investigation as a witch hunt, will now face legal repercussions, marking a significant end to his scandal-ridden political tenure. So, even the other Republicans think George Santos is a shitbag, but he's funny as fuck. I gotta admit, the dude is hilarious. But you going to jail, boy. Well, I'd assume. So this is Seth MacFarlane. Today is expected to be the legal day of reckoning for scandal-plagued former Congressman George Santos. And they will be inside the courtroom on, 3 p.m. Eastern time? I wonder if they'll have that live. I would love to see that live, but that's 2 o'clock for me. I might be back for that. Who knows? We'll see. That's what friends are for. Thank you, Lord Stanhope. I don't know what that was for, but there you go. All right, moving on. Also in the news, Jeff Bezos. I don't know. I really didn't quite get why. But this post is being bandied about. And this is one of those things where people have this pie-in-the-sky Scrooge McDuck view of billionaires, okay? That billionaires just have giant vaults of gold and cash and diamonds and things they could just liquidate immediately. And this person apparently is getting some traction with this post who says, I don't get people like Bezos. If I had $1 billion, I would impulsively start fixing shit. Homeless vets? I don't think so. Hungry children? Not on my watch. He could be Batman. What a waste. And it's like here, and then this person, anonymous, says, it's every billionaire from Elon to Bezos. They can help so many people move humanity forward, but they don't. They're all too wrapped up in worshiping their infinite supply of cash to give a shit about anyone. Now, again, let's take Elon Musk, for example. I don't think Elon Musk even owns a home yet. He still lives in people's apartments or he rents something or whatever. But again, these people, yes, they could probably liquidate some of their assets and sell it off and do good. Like, for example, Jeff Bezos' wife has given about $100 million, not $100 million, about $40 million, $50 million to the city of New Orleans for different projects and organizations or whatever. But it's not like they have a bunch of cash sitting around. It's like, okay, the value of your company goes up and down and that's your net worth. Doesn't mean that you have a vault, a Scrooge McDuck vault, okay? And I'm pretty sure that all these assholes, which I'm pretty sure they all donate money to a lot of different things that, you know, they don't make a big deal about it, but I'm sure they do, okay? I mean, think of Bill Gates and all the money he donates to things. But again, he has billions in assets, not in liquid cash. Exactly. So it's just one of those stupid things. But apparently that particular post, a lot of people liked it, so it's trending. So there you go. Speaking of rich guys, Elon Musk is also trending. Now this is another one that these people project a lot of things onto the people they hate. So this is a funny thing trending. Musk accused of plotting U.S. riots. Now, this is from The Guardian. So the Guardian's claiming that Elon Musk has something to do with the riots in Great Britain, right? Journalist Carol Cadwalader, that's a little too close to cum dumpster, has published an article in The Guardian suggesting that Elon Musk might be planning to incite riots in the United States. Yeah, that's typical of the right. Yo, gosh, you had January 6th. Now everything is a right-wing riot. Using recent events in Britain as a test run. Because, yeah, Elon Musk is the one who planned that shit. Her article draws parallels between the riots in Britain, which she alleges were influenced by Musk's inflammatory rhetoric and misinformation. No, he reacted to them. He didn't inflame that, whatever. Potential unrest in the U.S., especially around the upcoming presidential election. Critics of Musk fear that he could contest the election results and undermine democratic processes, potentially leading to civil unrest or even civil war. Wow. So what they say, he could contest the election results or undermine the democratic processes. You mean like Data did? You know, Mark Zuckerberg, Data, whatever they call that thing, and the dude at Star Trek. Just, you know, like Mark Zuckerberg did, he influenced or undermined the democratic processes in the 2020 election. You remember that? You know, that was great. Anyway, the discussion highlights concerns over the influence of billionaires on democracy. Yeah, like Mark Zuckerberg, like Bill Gates, like all these other fuckwads, like George Soros. Yeah, it's fine when they influence democracy, but they don't. If you don't like Elon Musk, oh my God, now we're gonna have concern over the influence of billionaires on democracy. Oh, you guys are assholes. Oh, you are fucking assholes. Anyway, so yeah, there's a whole article in The Guardian. If you want to read the article, I don't know if it might be one of those protected articles. It probably is. Oh, no, it isn't. No, it's open. Let's read this shit. We're going to get to the main gal up here, or, you know, her, that weirdo, Patty Murray. So here it is in The Guardian. Inciting rioters in Britain was a test run for Elon Musk. How did he incite the rioters in Britain? He had nothing. He commented on it. Just over 4 years ago, an insurrectionist mob found each other online, descended on Washington, stormed the Capitol, and threatened the vice president with a noose. Oh my gosh, you mean the gallows made for midgets? I'm sorry, is midgets uncool? Are you allowed to say midgets? I don't even know. Are you serious? But that was the good old days. We're living in a different reality now, one in which the billionaires have been unchained. God. Do you know how many frickin' like state attorneys or attorney generals we have that were bought and paid for by your little European friend, the guy that shall not be named, Voldemort, the Voldemort of political upheaval in the world? Because back in the golden days of 2020, tech platforms, still reeling from a public backlash, had at least to look as if they gave a shit. Twitter employed 4,000 plus people in trust and safety. Oh, the censorship board. Those people tasked with getting dangerous content off its platform. Why isn't that working? And sniffing out foreign influence operations. Oh, was Biden on that team? Facebook tried to ignore public pressure, but eventually banned political ads that sought to delegitimize voting. And scores of academics and researchers within election integrity units worked to identify and flag dangerous disinformation. But still, vast swaths of the American population became convinced the vote had been stolen, and a violent mob almost pulled off a coup. Really? Did they? Wait a minute. Did they almost pull off a coup? Really? You mean the selfie the selfie insurrection inside the Capitol building almost pulled off a coup? Who did they kidnap? Who did they kill? How many guns did they have? They almost pulled off a coup? Wow! I must have missed that part, because I thought they stood around and took pictures of each other and then left after about 3 hours. And business went on as usual, eventually, right? Boy, oh boy, making up that noose. Oh my gosh, did they have the vice president in custody when they threatened him with a noose? I'm just curious. Holy shit, this lady's crazy. Fast forward 4 years, and we're now in a very different and significantly worse place. Because while Kamala Harris is enjoying her hot girl summer, oh, isn't that great? America is sighing, and liberal America is sighing with relief. Oh, because you don't have the sundowner in chief running again? It's to Britain that the U.S. needs to look, to rioters in the streets and burning cars and contagious, uncontrolled racism spreading like wildfire across multiple platforms. Oh, babe, you got to watch the DNC this week. All the rioters and burning and violence that's going to happen. And if you don't think it's going to happen, well, I wonder why that is. Maybe they have enough cops this year. I don't know. My God, are you talking about the people in the DNC that are protesting already? To lies amplified and spread by algorithms long before facts have been reported, laundered, and whitewashed by politicians and professional media grifters. You sound like one. Because just as Brexit prefigured Donald Trump's election in 2016, there are signs that we are again the canary in the coal mine, the same transatlantic patterns, the same playbook, the same figures. Watch the DNC this week, lady. But this time, a whole new set of dangerous, unchecked technological vulnerabilities to be exploited. The streets are for now quiet. The violence has been crushed. But this is Britain. Where extremist political violence is someone carrying a brick and throwing a chair leg. In America, there aren't just automatic weapons and rights to openly carry firearms. Not in DC, honey. There are actual militias. Does she understand how vast the United States is? I think she thinks the United States is like the same size as Great Britain. I don't think she realized how few and far between these militias are. And they're not out here to take over anything. Oh my God, this is crazy alarmism. Regardless of how well Harris is doing in the polls, America is facing a singularly dangerous moment, whoever wins the election. Oh, you mean there'll be violence if Trump wins too? I can't imagine that happening, because why would anyone riot if Trump won? Because it'd be democracy, and no one would, go out and protest in the streets and threaten to blow up the White House or anything like that. No one would do that. That would never happen. No one would burn cities to set shit on fire or whatever because Donald Trump won. Only if Harris wins, we should be concerned about violence, right? Right? Because Trump has already showed us, as Jair Bolsonaro learned, It's not even necessarily about winning anymore, or even about a single day. The entire period between the result and the inauguration is an anything can happen moment, not just for America, but for the world. With Britain, the canary has sung. This summer, we have witnessed something new and unprecedented. The billionaire owner of a tech platform publicly confronting an elected leader and using his platform to undermine his authority and incite violence. What? Britain's 2024 summer riots were Elon Musk's trial balloon. He got away with it. And if you're not terrified by both the extraordinary supranational power of that and the potential consequences, you should be. If Musk chooses to predict a civil war in the United States, what will that look like? If he chooses to contest an election result, if he decides that democracy is overrated, this isn't sci-fi. It's literally 3 months away. None of this is happening in a vacuum. For a brief minute after 2016, there was an attempt to understand how these tech platforms had been used to spread lies and falsehoods or mis and disinformation as we came to know them and try to prevent them. Oh, I know, because Trump won. That was awful. That was the worst thing in the world that could have happened, and you needed to figure out how to prevent it the next time. Oh, they found ways. But that moment has passed. A years-long effort by Republican operatives to politicize the entire subject of misinformation has won. Because you label shit that is misinformation that's not misinformation, honey. You call opinions misinformation. You call opposition to your worldview misinformation. You think you are the truth, and sometimes you're just an idiot making shit up. It barely now even exists in U.S. tech circles. Anyone who suggests it does, researchers, academics, trust and safety teams are now all part of the censorship industrial complex. Oh, you're disputing that? Interesting. A U.S. congressional committee headed by Republicans Jim Jordan convinced that big tech was silencing conservative voices and went on a warpath. It subpoenaed the email history of dozens of academics and has chilled an entire field of research. Whole university departments have collapsed, including the Stanford Internet Observatory, who only targets one side of the aisle, whose election integrity unit provided rapid detection and analysis in 2020. Even the FBI has been prevented from communicating with tech companies because they have no business monitoring American speech about what officials have warned is a coming onslaught of foreign disinformation and influence operations. After a lawsuit brought by two attorneys generals went all the way to the Supreme Court, the New York Times reported that it has only now just quietly resumed. All this has provided a perfect cover for platforms to step back. Twitter, and now X, has sacked at least half of its trust and safety team, but then so has every tech company we know about. Thousands of workers previously employed to sniff out misinformation, Joe Biden's on the team, have been laid off by Meta, TikTok, Snap, and Discord. Just last week, Facebook killed off one of its last remaining transparency tools, CrowdTangle, a tool that was crucial to understanding what was happening online during the dark days before and after the 2020 inauguration. It did this despite pleas of researchers and academics just because it could. In 2020, these efforts seemed pathetic, paltry, inadequate to the scale of the threat. Now they're gone, just as the tools are becoming even more dangerous. Last week, OpenAI crowed about finding an Iranian group that used ChatGPT to run a U.S. election influence campaign, which would have been more impressive if the last that was heard from its trust and safety team was when it was dissolved back in May after its co-founder resigned. Now that Musk, the new self-appointed Lord of Misrule, has done because what Musk has done is to rip off the mask. He's shown that you don't even have to pretend to care. In Musk's world, trust is mistrust and safety is censorship. His goal is chaos, and it is coming. Oh my gosh! Give that woman a hand. She's so misguided, I would say. Holy shit. All right, moving on. Here's the now. This
we need to get one.
Patty, Wait for me, please. Wait for me. Patty Murray, ladies and gentlemen, for your viewing pleasure. And it's only 54 seconds, but it's extra special. I promise you, this is extra special. This is a senator in the United States Senate, the United States of America, part of the two branches or the two halves of the legislative branch of government, telling us why we have inflation. And there's only one reason we have inflation. And Patty Murray is going to tell you why. And this is the So Dumb It Hurts section of the show. Patty Murray, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe.
We need to get one thing clear. Despite all the bogeymen that Republicans like to point to driving the national debt, the reality is that the single biggest driver of our national debt since 2001 has been Republican tax cuts. The Trump and Bush tax cuts have cost our nation over $10 trillion and counting. And what do Republicans want to do if they return to power? What's at the top of the Trump economic agenda? Do they want to solve the child care crisis? Do they want to extend health care credits that are saving millions of families thousands of dollars? Of course not. They want more tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy and biggest corporations. Republicans' big economic vision is to extend their horribly one-sided Trump tax cuts.
Did she say that tax cuts were the biggest driver
We need to get
of our
one thing
national
clear.
debt?
Despite all the bogeymen that Republicans like to point to driving the national debt, the reality is that the single biggest driver of our national debt since 2001 has been Republican tax cuts.
Okay, now
The Trump and Bush tax.
Let's just stop. In that same amount of time, and look, it's not the tax cuts that drive national debt. That just means you're taking in less money, which is not even true because revenues have increased every year, tax cuts are not. Okay? But I'm pretty sure, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that if you don't spend money, if you spend less money, you can reduce the amount of debt you take on. Because if you're not spending more money than you take in, then you're not debt. So you're not selling bonds and whatever government treasuries to offset your spending. That's way more than the revenue you're taking in. I could have sworn debt is when you spend more than you take in, because you have to borrow to spend that more part, you know? So, and if the revenues kept going up despite those Republican tax cuts, then I would have to say that the debt would have to be related to the spending part, right? The spending, if you're spending more than you are, whatever. Hello, Selecta Boy. Yeah, boy. It seems like the government's spending more. And look, I tell you what, that supposed Inflation Reduction Act, and that spent a hell of a lot of money. And Kamala Harris is out here proposing spending a whole lot of money on some other stuff. But isn't she also proposing tax cuts? She says now I've never heard a Democrat do this. She's proposing tax cuts for 100 million people in the United States, which leaves very few at the top. Look, I hate to break this to all of these dumbasses that you can blame the corporation, and you can blame this and that, and you can blame Republicans for tax cut, but you motherfuckers never saw a program you didn't like to spend on. Now, who's the dude down? What country is that? Where is it Argentina, where they basically cut all their spending, and now they're running? I mean, they just basically cut departments. They cut spending, and they're running a surplus now. It has nothing to do with Argentina. Yeah, they're just printing money and selling the rights to the money, and that just flood the money supply. But as far as the debt, you can't go into debt if you don't spend. If you spend less, you go into less debt. And no, it has nothing to do with the tax cuts. So this is so dumb it hurts. That's the title of the show. This was all I was going to say. Now, granted, the economic illiteracy of some of these people is mind bending. I got to tell you. But yeah, so that's the name of the show today. All right, let's get through the rest and get out of here because I got a whole bunch. By the way, Gretchen Whitler was trending a little bit because she was accusing Trump of misinformation on COVID. Okay, because, and this is not the only part. There's also we'll get to there, but Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitler has accused former President Donald Trump of causing numerous deaths during COVID. Now, this is ironic because this is one of those governors who kept sending COVID patients to go hang out in nursing homes and then basically killed off half a nursing home. She's accusing President Donald Trump of causing numerous deaths during the COVID-19 pandemic by spreading misinformation about the virus. Yeah. When Nancy Pelosi said, come on down to Chinatown and party because this so-called disease is not really around here because she was mad that he restricted the Chinese travel ban. This claim has ignited debate among observers and political figures. Critics of Whitmer argue that her own policies, particularly the decision to send COVID-positive patients back to nursing homes, significantly contributed to Michigan's high per capita death rate, which exceeded that of New York. Defenders of Trump assert that while this initial handling of the virus might have downplayed its severity, the broader political and public health response was complex and not solely attributable to his actions. Okay, whatever. So anyway, so this is here's an article in Breitbart. Whitmer, somebody died from COVID because Trump put out misinformation. So here's the clip. No, it's 10 minutes long. Anyway. She said on NBC's Meet the Press that we saw so many deaths from COVID because former President Donald Trump put out misinformation. Host Kristen Walker said, let's talk big picture. The campaign is only a month old. Everything she's said in the past is starting to come into focus. When she ran in 2020, she called for banning fracking, supporting. She's talking about, she's asking a question about Kamala Harris's policies, and Whitmer comes back complaining about Trump. So this is Kirsten Walker's question. Let's talk big picture. The campaign is only a month old. Everything she said in the past is starting to come into focus. When she ran in 2020, she called for banning fracking, supporting single-payer health care, and eliminating private health insurance. The campaign says she no longer supports these positions. The Trump campaign is calling her a chameleon. Do you think Vice President has to explain more on why she has shifted in those positions? Now, that's a question about what the Vice President does she need to explain why she is shifting on position? So Whitmer's answer is, any insult from the Trump campaign, insult or a question? Any insult from the Trump campaign is laughable when you think about his years in office and who he fought for. He fought for himself. He laid out nothing in terms of vision for America. He's feeding into people's anxiety and anger. That's what he always does. He has never done anything that makes someone's life a little better. Well, yes, he did. When those gas prices came down, it put a lot more money in my pocket. You know, and whether that was him or not, it was during his term. And granted, I'll talk about that. I'll get back to that because someone was saying, "Oh yeah, the United States is producing more oil than, or energy." Than it has in years. But yeah, remember the U.S. also okayed that little Russian pipeline sabotage, and that was a major, major supplier to Europe. And so gas prices and oil prices don't sit in a vacuum because they're from the United States. If you cut off part of the world's major supplier, it costs everybody more. And I think that's why all of a sudden Zelensky has fallen on the sword with that, where they're saying that it was Zelensky, it was Ukraine that blew up that pipeline. I think he's fallen on a sword because people are going to start putting two and two together that if the CIA did it, which the CIA knew about it, by the way, and that's not even me just saying that, that's a fact. They knew about it. It's in the reports. But if the CIA did it, then someone might put two and two together, figuring out that Biden allowing that pipeline to be blown up also cost the world oil supplies to cost more. And that's why, even though we're producing more than we have in a long time, it doesn't offset what they lost from that pipeline going to Europe. So someone was going to figure that out eventually. I figured it out a long time ago. Anyway, Whitmer says, she added, in fact, his time in office, we have record job loss. Again, you know what? This is so funny because the record job loss was contributed to by Gretchen Whitmer. She shut down her state, so all those people lost their jobs temporarily. It's amazing that she can't put that together either. That's insane. His time in office, we have recorded record job loss. We saw so many deaths from COVID because he put out misinformation, denied that it was even a problem. That's a lie. He told you it was coming. He put a task force together immediately when he found out about it, and you all poo-pooed it when he said, oh, well, we need to stop travel from China temporarily. You all said, oh, no, please go to your Chinese New Year celebrations in your Chinatown, in your local area. This is not a big deal. And he's like, okay, whatever. He said, and then she goes, I mean, this is the guy who he calls other people names, but offers nothing of value to the American people when it comes to a vision or a plan to make people's lives better. That's contrasting stark. What you will see this week in Chicago is a bunch of happy warriors who understand the middle class, understand how we pull more people into the middle class and make sure every one of us can have a pathway to prosperity and live the American dream and take care of our families. Unless you live in Michigan, where she restricted everyone from doing their jobs. She's a piece of work. She is a real piece of work. Moving on, Medicare drug price negotiations are in the news, apparently. Medicare drug price negotiation results. So part of our problem, I think, with American drug prices is we kind of foot the bill for the rest of the world. And also because even though these companies do a ton of R&D, research and development, we still give them a monopoly on the drugs they produce. So there's a couple of discussions here. Here's one. Discussion on pharmaceutical prices in the United States highlights a complex issue involving market dynamics. So I'm going to just skip this grok summary and go through Aaron Levy, because this is an interesting thing. Because, even though Medicare can negotiate prices on drugs, they still negotiate prices that are super high compared to the rest of the world. So this guy says regulation of pharma pricing is a super interesting topic. On one hand, it's ideal for the government to stay out of markets as they can meaningfully distort what gets invested in, competitive dynamics, the quality of products, and more. However, in the case of drugs, we have a complex problem where the government effectively creates temporary monopolies for pharma companies in the form of patents, and for good reason. We should reward the risk and research and development it takes to invent new drugs. But if you have a market that has monopolies on entire products that are non-fungible, then the producer essentially can come up with any pricing they want without any downward competitive pressure on pricing. In a profit-maximizing business, you aim to find the most optimal price that the market will support for the greatest amount of volume that product to produce maximum return. Price too high, many customers don't show up. Price too low, and you're leaving money on the table. Assuming pharma works at a perfect market, then drugs will be priced to find the most number of people that will pay the highest price, and I'm sure they pretty much are. But because there's no competition keeping prices low, by definition, that price will be high enough that many people will not be able to afford the drug. If they can't afford the drug, then you have a question as a society of what to do, assuming you want to live in a world where everyone within reason should have the opportunity to get life-saving or life-changing medicine, then someone's going to subsidize this cost for others. Now, if we're subsidizing the cost of medicine, we have even less elastic market for pricing because now people are buying on others' behalf. So at some point, eventually someone other than the patient is paying for that medicine, which means inevitably farmer pricing essentially just becomes a tax on all of us. Given it's a tax and it's due to the government's ability to grant effective monopolies, it might make sense that we would have some limits on how much this tax should cost. There's no question that producers, inventors, employees, and shareholders should make gobs of money when they create breakthroughs, but I think we can also have sane conversations about pricing and regulation here. Ultimately, this is a very complex topic that barely scratches the surface, but I think we need to be able to talk about regulation in a sane way without always shouting about any government action being communist. Now, Elon Musk replies to this. Do you know that America pays almost all the R&D costs of Earth? That's why drugs are bizarrely cheap in other countries. And he says, beyond other countries paying more, what would you like to see happen in the U.S.? Well, problem is that other countries do price controls on drugs or pay for drugs. And it's interesting because as I looked through this thread, there was a, where is it? Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, it looks like it moved. Let's say a scientist invents a product that costs $5 per unit to mass produce, just $5 for the raw materials and the direct labor cost of manufacture. What's a fair price to charge? Should she be allowed to charge $10 or whatever? So, and they're using the example of Ozempic where it's almost $1,000 to get it in the United States. And part of it's because all the insurance companies pay for it, all the nobody pays for their own medicines. And there is no competition. You can't, someone produces something, you cannot, you cannot put out a generic product of that product for X number of years, right? And so it's interesting because when the generics come out, all of a sudden, all these drugs that cost, $1,000 or $500, whatever, they go down in price because everyone can produce them and you can, think of aspirin. I'm sure aspirin was like that at some point. But it's interesting. So, but do price controls cause the price and availability to go up or down? I don't know. It's an interesting argument. There's lots of people arguing about it here. But I the price controls, suddenly you're going to force price controls on these drugs. Is it going to make them harder to get? Or only people in Medicare are going to be able to get them. And what happens is they subsidize some people, and then so everyone else pays for who we're subsidizing. It's just, I don't know. I don't have an answer for it, but I the whole price control thing when she's talking about, when she started talking about price gouging in food, like she's even talking about like fast food restaurants, and it's like, wait a minute, you're gonna. If I'm going to go get something to eat and I know I can get something comparable but cheaper somewhere, I'll go to the comparable cheaper place. Or if I just want something really good, I'll pay the price where I'm going. I don't know. It's wild. If you enforce price controls, no one could afford the R&D to make a new drug. The price, while they hold patents, is how they recoup the cost. Exactly. And so you're just going to restrict the number of drugs that come out. Now, the problem is too, when you have let's take the Fauci juice for example. It's interesting how we spent billions on the Fauci juice, right? And the makers of those products profited insanely from those profits because they had a monopoly. Not only did they have, a sort of monopoly, there's 3 companies that made them, but the government just paid whatever they wanted for them. So they basically, we gave the pharmaceutical companies a ginormous windfall from the Fauci juice. Now, was that all research and development? Because obviously they're making their record profits because you have this pandemic. Now, I have nothing against profits at all. I think profits are what keep the retirement funds filled, right? But did the government cause the price to be higher because the government was paying for it. And so they charged the government whatever they wanted, and the government gave whatever they wanted because basically they got you by the balls thinking that this Fauci juice is going to save everybody. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's very complex subject. All right, I got to get through the rest of this. Other things trending. House GOP is trending. Oh, you're going to hear about this today. This is you're really going to hear about this today. Apparently, House GOP report says that Joe Biden committed impeachable offenses while in office, and the Biden family has received $27 million from foreign individuals and entities. Well, we kind of knew that. This is the Fox News report.
This is a Fox News alert. All new this morning, House Republicans finding President Biden and his family received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities since 2014. Lawmakers call it an impeachable conduct. Brooke Singman is in Chicago with this story. Brooke, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Ainsley.
Now,
I obtained a copy of this 292-page report from House Republicans. They're on the House Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means committees, and they've been leading this impeachment inquiry against President Biden for months. So they said their investigation found that President Biden engaged in impeachable conduct and said he abused his office and, quote, defrauded the United States to enrich his family. Republicans revealed that since 2014, the Biden family and its associates received more than $27 million from foreign individuals and entities.
Now I'm curious, because they'll say, "Oh no, but see, Biden didn't get any of that money. It was just his son and his brother and his I think it's one of his daughters. And they were just, they were putting in everyone's bank accounts but Joe Biden's." Are they actually going to impeach him? I really hope they don't. We don't need that spectacle during an election year. All that does is fire up the Democrats. But hang it over his head, sure, hang it over his head. Maybe they can impeach him after the election, like fucking Democrats did. And Biden's the speaker tonight at the DNC. Isn't that weird? The president of the United States is the first speaker at the Democratic National Convention. You would think he'd be right there just before Tim Walz got up there, just before Kamala Harris. He's the president of the United States. He's the leader of the party right now, isn't he? He's speaking first. They got Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Bill Clinton, J.D. Pritzker. They got Biden going first. The current president of the United States, the current leader of the Democratic Party is going first. That's what they think of Joe Biden. They want to get him out of the way. But anyway.
They also found that while Biden was serving as vice president, the Biden family got more than $8 million in loans from Democratic benefactors. And they say those loans have not been repaid. So this report says, in part, quote, as vice president, President Biden actively participated in a conspiracy by, among other things, attending dinners with his family's foreign business partners and speaking to them by phone, often when being placed on speakerphone by Hunter Biden. Republicans are calling out a 2014 dinner that Hunter Biden and his father attended with a Russian oligarch. After that dinner...
Russian? Russians?
The oligarch wired $3.5 million to Hunter Biden's firm.
That's the mayor's wife, isn't it?
This report says, quote, several witnesses testified that Hunter Biden invoked his father in business dealings with Romanian, Chinese, Kazakhstani, and Ukrainian companies, resulting in millions of dollars flowing to the Biden family. They're also calling out Biden for his handling of classified documents.
It's funny that Romanian one is the one that Hunter Biden is in trouble for now because he got a lot of money from them and didn't pay any taxes. How the hell is that going? A little flash there. All right. So anyway, that's you're going to be hearing a lot about that the next couple of days, and then Democrats will poo-poo it and they'll go back and forth. And it's interesting. Now, also, the House GOP is trending because Representative Jeffries says that House Democrats will do everything that we need to do to win back the House so that the American people don't need to encounter the questions of whether the House GOP will certify the 2024 elections. Well, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Because if Donald Trump wins, didn't you already say, was the little mophead dude that has cancer, Jamie Raskin? He's the one who said that the Democrats are not going to certify the election if Donald Trump wins. Now, why wouldn't the GOP certify it if Kamala Harris wins? That's interesting. That sounds like projection. You act like that. You act like Kamala's going to automatically win. That may not happen. She's got a lot of baggage that has, the media hasn't helped, put out there, but she's got plenty of baggage. We'll see if anyone asks her about any of it. So that's why House Republicans and House GOP are trending. Let's see. Biden impeachment inquiry report released. House Republicans have released a report from their impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden, alleging that he engaged in impeachable conduct by abusing his power and obstructing justice. The report, spanning nearly 300 pages, focuses on Biden's involvement in the financial dealings of his son, Hunter Biden, and other family associates, suggesting these actions were intended to enrich his family at the expense of the United States. However, the report does not accuse Biden of criminal wrongdoing, and it remains unclear what the steps will be following the report's release. So we don't know what the fuck they're going to do. Moving on, the DNC obviously is trending. Now, I don't have time to get into the DNC. I wish I could. But here's some things that are happening that you probably have seen already. They already have riot police going around in Chicago because they have protesters out there galore. Here's some examples. So the police are out there in force trying to keep people on one side. Now, another interesting part of this is there are some of these protesters. Oh, by the way, also, this was cute. They've been the DNC or Democrats have been projecting different messages on Trump Tower in Chicago. This is a Harrison Walls Joy and Hope projector. They had up there the other day Project 2025 headquarters. I mean, they were doing a lot of stupid shit. Whatever. What happened? Let's go back. Oh, so anyway, there's riot police outside the DNC. Oh, by the way, the Democrats wanted to defund the police unless the police are surrounding the DNC to protect them. Also, it's ironic too, to get in the DNC, not only, or DNC or Kamala Harris, Tim Walz events, not only do you have to register for those things, but they require you to show an ID. Now, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that they were not going to allow black people in the Democratic National Convention. They require you to show ID. I mean, all those black people that are going to go to the DNC and try to get in, and they don't have an ID because, we don't have IDs, right? Right, Democrats? So anyway, here's another one. A trans person covering his face and hair harasses police as part of the far left march outside the DNC. Now, I don't care if he's trans or not.
Chuck, fuck you.
I'm sorry.
Fuck you, pig.
Didn't see you.
Fuck you, pig. Fuck off, pig. Oh, did you get your nose broken, pig? You lose a fight, you stupid fucking pig. Your face looks fucked up, pig. Fuck you, pig. You look fucked up, pig. I hate you. Fucking go home. Get a real job. God, you're
Get away from me, bitch.
God, you are so fucking pathetic. Get a job.
And I hope you have nightmares about the people the Chicago police killed.
You're a fucking loser, pig. You're a
and I
fucking
know you're
loser.
getting a check to keep silent about police murders. That's pathetic.
Yeah. How's that fucking overtime check, huh, pig? Fuck you, pig.
Wow, she's lovely. Okay, isn't it lovely? Look like a linebacker. Does it look feminine? I don't want to be near her. Also, so lots of stuff from the DNC. We're expecting violence. We're expecting joy. We're expecting pain. We're expecting all kinds of stuff. So there are several. Here's a few headlines. DNC begins with Harris gaining ground. The Democratic National Convention is taking place in Chicago starting on August 19th. Today, Vice President Kamala Harris is set to formally accept the Democratic nomination for president following President Joe Biden's decision to end his re-election campaign. President Biden is expected to deliver a keynote address, symbolically passing the torch to Harris. Well, no, I don't think the keynote address is on Monday. He's scheduled to speak tonight. And looks like Harris is leading in some of these swing states that were heavily favored for Trump when he was going against Biden. Looks like Georgia is the only one that is solidly still a lead for Trump, but all of these except for Michigan are in the margin of error, I think, are close. And again, Trump always, at least in the last 3 elections, has underpolled. So here it is. This is just them getting started at the DNC convention. Here's something that's already happened. Apparently, this person ran on stage and stole a mic.
Y'all can do better than that. Mike, the money.
150,000 people are dead. You are funding a genocide. The Harris-Biden administration keeps funding money to Israel.
So, expect plenty of this during the DNC convention. All right. Other things that'll be in the links today. Let's just go down the list. And you can read them yourself. By the way, the Department of Defense is prepared for a biochemical threats against the DNC. I'm sure that the fuckwads will have pepper spray and all kinds of other stuff. And then they had yesterday, apparently, Tim Walz and Kamala Harris were phone banking in Pennsylvania. They have set up all these little skits and photo ops, and they're constantly showing how hard and they're working and how joyful they are. It's pretty pathetic. And also, then we talked about Harris's claim on child poverty reduction, which is a joke. She claimed they already reduced child poverty by 50%. Not that she will. You know what? You know what would lower child poverty? If the economy were strong. And right now you're just throwing money at things kind of like we've done since the Great Society. You know, we were going to end poverty in 1964, when Lyndon Johnson signed the Great Society stuff, 1964. And that was 60 years ago. And so clearly your handouts don't work. So what do? Maybe we fix the economy and make it so everyone can thrive, and not through just throwing money at the people you want to throw money at. There's no such thing as equity. You got to figure out how to make people want to be a part of society, and you're not doing it. Hello, number one. Hello, K-Shell. An amazing disgrace. All right, DNC convention, that's trending. All the rest is mostly about the DNC. And then there's several articles. Oh, by the way, this is the last thing I'm going to do, and then the rest you can check out the other articles. The Democrats are begging Kamala Harris not to release a policy agenda before the election, because the economic plan that she came out with, while it excites some people are seeing it for what it is, buying votes and bad ideas that sound very communistic, like price controls. So Democrats appear rattled that they could lose the Senate, House, and presidential election if Vice President Kamala Harris is transparent about policy solutions to reverse the administration's failures. Oh, yeah, the Biden-Harris administration? Harris, who has not held an unscripted press conference for 26 days since joining the race, is facing calls to not only remain hidden from the press, but to keep her proposed policies a secret as she prepares to deliver economic proposals in North Carolina on Friday, which she did. Some people are excited about it, but some people are like, ooh, maybe we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Harris, however, has already published several policies, such as socialist-style price controls, subsidies for homeowners, and 2 policies that copy the Trump-Vance ticket, a child tax credit, and no taxes on tips. She doesn't need to negotiate against herself. We've got the biggest possible tent right now. Representative Ann McLean Foster told Politico, I don't think there's a real strong reason for her to try to weed out any points of view right now. Oh my gosh, we shouldn't know what she's going to do. We should elect her to find out what's in it, what's in her policy book. So let me finish with this. There's several articles that are going to go in the links, but let me finish with this. So she's talking about doing this $25,000 for first-time home buyers, right? And it's generational assistance, which is an interesting way to put it. So if, for example, my kids have parents who own a home, okay? So she's not talking about doing it for people like just any first-time home buyer. She's talking about people who maybe have never been in a home that's owned by the family or whatever, which means maybe people who aren't necessarily good candidates for owning a home yet. And so you're going to give them free money to do this. And also, by the way, those generational people who don't have generations who have homes, a lot of those are probably include illegal aliens. I'm very curious if she is including people here illegally for that. But my experience in that realm when I was in the business of financing homes, I saw it's going to create another bubble, right? It's going to now. Initially, it may do well. It'll cause more people to try to go buy homes. It'll certainly create more demand for homes, which when demand is high, housing prices go up. And really that $25,000, housing prices aren't just going to go up $25,000 when you start a program like that. We gave away free money in the early 2000s, okay? It was in the form of people did loans, but people were getting basically free money, right? And all that did was cause a giant housing bubble, okay, that exploded in 2008. So initially it did great because people were buying houses, people were spending money on stuff to improve the house, blah, 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 blah. And then a lot of those people who weren't really prepared to buy homes, who did because they got free money, they got foreclosed on. And we had this giant crash in 2008 caused by this style of trying to pick winners and losers. So, why are we doing it again? It sounds fantastic. The government's going to give you $25,000 for free. Guess what? The average home price will probably go up by $100,000 in that kind of scenario because it adds free money into the market. It adds more money into the market. When you put more money into the market, it causes prices to rise. And that's just simple real estate economics. And all the realtors and mortgage brokers are probably salivating at their desks going, oh my gosh, please do this because we're going to make a shit ton of money because we'll make money when more people buying houses, the housing prices will go up. We'll make more money in commissions. We'll make more money when all these people get foreclosed on because we can resell those houses. The banks can, take those houses. They can finance them again so that all the money on the front end they make an interest the next time it's sold again. Oh, the banks and realtors and mortgage bankers are just loving this idea because they're going to make a shit ton of money regardless if the bubble blows up and pops. So it's just an amazing thing. We didn't learn from the 2008 housing crash that was started kind of during the Clinton administration and kept going through the Bush administration. We just said, let's give everybody free money and everybody will have a house and it'll be great. Yeah, not so much. And that's it. I got to go. Thanks for joining me on the Morning Night Live. Thank you. All these links, including the ones I never even got to, are going to be in the chat and in the description. I got to go. And this is abrupt today because I got to go right now. So thank you. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. My name is P-Dog Knight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P. Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.